It is a little bit of a case of tough love. You just got to shut up and do it. I don't like filming YouTube videos and getting on Instagram and looking at, oh, look at me, like we're doing this. Like I can do it. I prefer writing, and I would encourage people to figure out what they think they're good at and what they want to do. Don't feel like you have to do any of it because you don't.
What's up, fitness fans? Welcome back to the Future of Fitness podcast, an interview series. I'm your host, Eric Malzone, and this is episode number 50. Yes, the half-century mark, we made it. And I couldn't have hoped for a better guest. This gentleman's name is Tony Gentilcore, and if you've been around the industry for more than a week or so, you probably know who he is, or you should. He is the co-founder of Cressey Performance in Boston. He's a world-renowned blogger and speaker, and he's been in the industry for over 15 years. And his message here is extremely important. You know, essentially it's you gotta be good at what you do. At the fundamental base, you gotta be good at what you do. And there's a lot more detail I'll get into here in a second. So before I do that, I wanna just ask you to do something. If you are in the fitness industry, go check out the Modern Fitness Pro. It's a closed Facebook group, and Doug and I are the moderators, and our goal there is just to add a tremendous amount of value to the industry and help you grow your business. So digital marketing, technology, business practices, mindset, you name it. Doug and I have been there. We've gone through it, and we love the industry. We're not trying to sell you anything. That's not what this is about. It's just to create a tribe and add value for you guys. So please go check it out, the Modern Fitness Pro on Facebook. So Tony, yeah, he's been in the industry for 15 years. He's written 2,000 blog posts. And his message is that it's really easy to be heard, but it's really hard to get heard. And I think I got that right. But here's the point. You got to put in the work. You got to take the time. You got to build. You got to get good at your craft. And there's so many advertisements and systems out there that are seemingly shortcuts, and it's all BS. And I 110% agree with everything that Tony says here. And I hope you enjoy it, because this guy, he's made it work. He's got his own facility where he trains as many people as he wants, no more. He's got online clients as well. He travels the world as a speaker, and he's a great content creator. He has a ton of traffic to his website, but he put in the work. It took 15 years, and it's awesome. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy it. Tony's the man. And number 50, Tony Gentilcore. Hey, fitness fans, welcome back to the Future of Fitness podcast and interview series. Today, I have the pleasure of talking to Tony Gentilcore. Tony, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. Sorry for my lack of microphone and all the shenanigans that went on with that. So hopefully my voice is loud enough.
Yeah, it sounds good. I think both you and I have had a trouble technical day. Woo. And it's just one of those. It's the downside of the digital lifestyle, right?
We're doing it live.
But we made it. We're here. We did it.
Yeah,
so. Hey man, so I've had the pleasure of talking to you a few times, and I'm very impressed with what you've done and who you are within the industry. And so maybe if you can just give people some background, tell us of your journey through the fitness industry and where you are now.
Well, it started way back in 1976 when my parents banged and I was born. Fast forward through all that, like I played sports all through high school, all through college. So, fitness it's weird. In my family, I'm the only one in my immediate family that is remotely health conscious or fitness conscious. I really don't know where I got it. But needless to say, I played multiple sports growing up. Was fortunate enough to be able to play at the collegiate level with baseball. Got my degree in health education, concentration, health, wellness, promotion. In the first 3 to 5 years, 3 years in corporate fitness. The first 5 years in my career were corporate fitness and commercial, meaning I worked in various commercial gyms as your run-of-the-mill personal trainer. And then around 2005, I met a young lad named Eric Cressey. He and I hit it off. Moved to Boston in 2006, opened up Cressey Sports Performance in 2007. And, that is what it is now. Like I would like to think that if anyone ranks or lists, like what are some of the top gyms in North America, if not the world, like that is one of them. As far as like the expertise, the coaches, and the level of training that's generated out of there. I left in 2015. I was there for 8 years. I was a co-founder. Was one of the main strength coaches there for 8 years. And it was just time to turn the page. So, and currently I own and operate a very small studio here in Boston called Core, and training mostly general fitness population clients, with a little sprinkling of athletes, professional and collegiate and high school, and semi-private setting. So on the nights that I do go in, I'm training anywhere from 2 to 5, sometimes 6 at the same time in a very small space. And yeah, I remember I spoke at a regional NSCA conference recently, and noted when I was at Cressey Sports Performance, like a lot of professional athletes, particularly baseball players, and I left that to purposely kind of train more general population, because that's the population that I prefer to work with. And I think that took a lot of people back, like, wait, why would you do that? Like, because there's kind of like this overlying umbrella theme in the industry that you're only relevant if you're training professional athletes, or you're a gym owner, or you're training like high-end like celebrities or anything like that. And I think that nothing could be further from the truth. I think, you're first of all, what makes you relevant in the fitness industry is kind of arbitrary. Like, there's no metric to measure that. But if you're happy with what you're doing and you're getting people results and you're able to pay your bills, and that's a good thing. So that's more or less where I'm at now, as far as like the abbreviated version of my fitness career.
Yeah. And it was, I told you in our first conversation too, that I came across you because I was always using your videos as demos for my remote coaching clients. So I feel like I knew Tony and Eric. I just knew you guys because I watched so many of your videos and passed them on to my clients. I'm curious, when you made the transition, and people who don't know about, Cressey and what you guys did there, look it up. I mean, I obviously very well known within the baseball community, at all levels. But what was that transition like, going from, pro athlete or a very high level athlete to general population? Is there any differences?
To me, it wasn't really anything that big of a deal. When I left Cressey Sports Performance and decided to kind of go off on my own a little bit, I walked into a situation that fit me well. I wasn't walking into, okay, I got to open up this gym and like think of all the logistics of that. Like, I basically walked into a situation where I was subleasing. I was basically renting space, more specifically renting time to gain access to an area to train clients. And because of my career, and my notoriety with Cressey Sports Performance, and also with my writing, once I announced that I was like, hey, I'm going to be here now, I had more or less a group of 10 to 15 people ready to train with me. So it's not like I started from scratch, which made it a lot less daunting, to say, okay, cool. Like, I have some people who are interested in training. I'm not starting from scratch here. So, I believe my situation was a little bit different than what a lot of people walk into. But as far as like switching from pro athlete to general fitness population, like there isn't really that much difference actually from training a professional athlete from a regular person. I mean, certainly when you're training someone who's at an elite level in their sport, number one is you don't want to hurt them or like, not that you want to hurt anyone who isn't an athlete either, but you know what I mean? Like, when their arm is worth $10 million, it's like, oh shit. Like, I got to be very careful with what I do here. And certainly, they're capable of doing, like, their trainable menu is a little bit bigger as far as what I can do with them, as opposed to somebody who's an office worker with a messed up lower back and doesn't have a lot of training experience. But as far as like general fitness population, it kind of is the grassroots of my career. It's where I started. And I just find I get more variety training general population clients. And not that there isn't variety of training professional athletes, but particularly when training one sport in particular, it gets a little bit monotonous. Like, it's like, okay, well, I mean, yes, every arm is different, every shoulder is different, but you're seeing kind of the same things manifest over and over and over again, and like the same exercises that you're doing, the correctives, but when you're training a little bit of a broader population, there's different things that come up. Like I started with a fairly young woman, 29, who was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. So that's kind of different. I have another client who's, a 65-year-old lawyer who just wants to get after it, and not like hurt his back. So that's different. And then I also have a couple of high school basketball players, and that's different too. So it kind of keeps me on my toes, which is kind of what I prefer.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great story. So you mentioned your writing, and I want to dive into that because I would consider you, and you and I have talked about, you've been an early adopter of the online revolution for fitness, right? You've established an online presence very early.
Yeah.
Walk us through that process of, being a writer and a content developer, and how that works for you and some of your processes.
When it started, so we're talking probably around 2004, 2005, 2006. I never would have thought that I wasn't doing it for any particular reason other than, I can put two sentences together and sound somewhat coherent, and I have some things to say, and I feel like I could help more people and reach more people via writing than I can training people one-on-one. So that's kind of how I approached it. I never thought it would turn into like part of my career. If I always joke that if I went back to my high school and spoke with my junior English teacher, she'd be like floored that I got paid to write. It's just funny to me. But I do feel like I was very lucky in the time that I started to do more fitness writing, because certainly there are people out there doing writing, but not a lot. You think of like Eric, Cressey, Mike Robertson, Mike Boyle, Dan John, Gentilcore. I kind of threw my hat into the ring, started writing for T Nation, and starting to get into the interest of like publications like Men's Health, etc. Not to mention just growing my own website, my own blog, via my writing. And I got in at a time where there weren't many blogs on fitness. And I remember, I might have the date wrong, but I think Twitter started in 2009. So again, I was in pretty early on that. Facebook was already a thing. So I was using at that time Facebook and Twitter to post my blog posts, like, oh, here's what I wrote today. And I always tell incoming trainers nowadays that I don't envy them, because it's really, really hard. The market is saturated right now. Everyone is vying for everyone else's time and attention. Everyone has an Instagram page, a YouTube page, a blog, a podcast. It's really, really hard to get and maintain people's attention. And that's not to say that I still don't have to work at it, but again, because, I think when you and I originally spoke, I mentioned on my website alone, I have 2,000 blog posts. Like, wow. That's a lot of writing. Yeah. And I've been doing it for a while. So, when I put something out there, when I write something, it's probably going to get read. I just say, here it is. And it will get shared, and some stuff is shared more than others, but I don't have that figured out, because I feel like I write something like brilliant and be like, oh my God, this is going to change the world. No one reads it. And then I write something that's like completely like off the cuff, like me ranting on something completely oblivious, fitness related, and it's like it's like wildfires. It's really weird. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely, this day and age, it's hard to get heard. It's easy to be heard, but it's just hard to get heard because there's just so many other people vying for other people's attention. So, you just got to be consistent. You got to, I often but I often say, like, almost weekly, I get an email or somebody asks me, like, oh, what do I need to do to become a better writer or get to where you at in your career? Number one, I've been in this for over 15 years. So, okay, ask me that question in 15 years and you'll probably get the answer. But also it's just, you gotta just stop emailing me or emailing whoever else you're emailing about writing and just start writing. It really is that easy. Like, because I guarantee for every person that writes me that email, like, oh, how do I get better at writing, or what do I need to do to write? They're also emailing 15 other people the same question. hoping to get some like eureka moment when really they're probably getting the same answer from everyone. It's like, you just got to shut up and start doing it. Like, it's really that simple. It's so unsexy and not remotely helpful to a lot of people, but as far as like anything profound, but it is a little bit of a case of tough love. You just got to shut up and do it. It's really as simple as that.
Yeah.
But I also think it's important. I think Ben Bruno talks about this a lot too, is I think you need to be good at what you do. You know, you can often tell the difference between, you know, two writers. You can tell the difference between a coach who's actually coaching people in real life and is writing, and you could tell a difference between somebody who's writing who isn't really training anyone, because you look at like what they say, the programs they write, and it's just none of it makes sense. So, you know, I think, and Ben stated a little bit more eloquent than me, like, but it's, you know, if you don't really have to make things up if you're actually coaching people and you're writing about it, you know what I mean? If that makes sense. Yeah. So I do think it helps to actually, and I hate being cliched like this, but it helps to be in the trenches and practicing what you're preaching. And, you know, it certainly helps the writing process as far as, you know, you're asked questions or like, oh, that didn't work. This did. I could write about that. You know, stuff you read, you write about. So, you know, it's a broad topic, but hopefully I threw out some nuggets there.
Yeah, totally. I think, you know, one of the big things, and Gary Vee is really hot right now, right? And he always talks about, you know, you just got to bury your head for a couple of years. Just pick something, you know, whatever it is that you want to do, whether it's podcasting, whether it's writing, whatever it is, just bury your head and do it consistently. Don't worry about your numbers. Just get good at it, and eventually something will happen. It's,
you know, I too have read and listened to a lot of his work. And I agree. Like, I'm like 50-50 when it comes to Gary Vee, because he is somebody who was self-made. Like, he did start from really nothing and built like this conglomerate, like, brand persona company. And it's very, very, very impressive. And I think even he would say that he wouldn't wish his work ethic on other people. You know, because he's that like in it, right? And that some people don't understand like how much work it takes. You know, they just hear him say, you got to grind, you got to grind, you got to hustle. And they think that just because they put a hashtag next to that, like grind hustle, that counts as hustling. You know, and it's just not the case. And, you know, I've done a few presentations to younger fitness professionals, particularly undergrads, where they ask about, how do I build a brand? What do I need to do to build a brand? And I say, at that stage, when you're in the early years of your career, you don't have a brand to build, so don't worry about it. Right? The brand is the experience you're going to gain from being in the trenches and doing the work. You know, it's, you know, I often get eye rolls because I'll tell a lot of young professionals, particularly straight out of school, that they should work in a commercial gym for 2, 3, 4, 5 years before anything, you know, because it's then and only then that they're going to gain the experience. They're going to get so much exposure to such an eclectic group of people, different backgrounds, different goals, different personalities. They're only going to get better. And I know it's very in vogue now to bitch and whine about, you know, working in a commercial gym and they're taking all my money and blah, 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 blah. And that's just not the case. Like, they have bills to pay too. It's not like they're taking, you know, your cut of the session and like, you know, making it rain. Like, they're paying the support staff, they're paying the insurance, they're paying the utilities, they're paying the rent, they're paying for the equipment. You know, they're not just ripping you off. But, you know, that's a whole nother, you know, rant, I suppose. But, you know, when it comes to Gary Vee's message, like I'm like 50-50 on it. It's like, I do think it's a great message. You need to, especially early in your career when you don't have other responsibilities like a wife or a kid or like life, you know, like you should kind of bury yourself in the sand and just work, because what else do you have to do? But at the same time, you know, I think we're at an age now where people are putting way too much credence in social media, likes and shares, and like that doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, like, getting people results and getting good at your craft and gaining experience, like that's what really matters. And that's what's going to build your brand in the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. And the social media, the people who really go all in without having the substance behind it, kind of a flash in the pan. I mean, we've seen that over and over again. They'll get some, and then they just they get exposed.
Yeah. I often joke, especially like on like Instagram, like you can tell. And a colleague of mine, Erica Sutter, she wrote a series of blog posts, I think last year, called how to tell a fitness professional versus a fitness celebrity, which I would definitely encourage people to seek that out. But I always say the difference between the two is, if you go on somebody's Instagram feed, the ratio of selfies and the me pictures versus like videos and pictures of their clients or exercise technique or mistake. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that to me is the difference. As far as like the more authentic, long lasting way of building a brand. Cause it shouldn't be about you. Like I get it. Yes. There is a degree of you-ness in there. Like, don't get me wrong. But as far as like what I feel is going to last, not making it all about you is going to be the better approach.
Yeah. And it's actually easier content to make. It's easier to make content about your clients, right? I mean, it really is.
Like I'd rather post a video of a client hitting a PR or me fixing something. Like, look at this before, like what their back looks like during their deadlift. Here's the little thing that I implemented. Now look at it.
Right.
That to me is going to resonate with more people than you posting a picture of you in the gym locker room, pulling your shirt up, showing your abs like that. But maybe I'm old. I don't know. Like,
we're born the same year, man. You're speaking my language. I get it.
I just hope that's a message that will resonate to the younger listeners and viewers of this. Like, I would think that would be common sense, but apparently it's not. Who knows? I don't know. I'm old. Like I was
sounding old now. So I think a question a lot of fitness professionals listening or anybody listening, how have you, with all the writing and the content creation, the following, how do you think it's monetized? Like, how is that converted to your bottom line?
Well, I don't think in the beginning, I don't think you should try to monetize it. I think you should just write for the sake of writing. I do think you need to write for free. Which is either your blog or, before I got paid to write for any publication, I submitted articles for free just to get exposure. So I definitely think that would bode in most people's best interest to do that. And then eventually, you're going to gain a following and like, maybe you're kind of catering to a niche or whatever. And then maybe you can start, getting paid like per article or anything like that. But, I think as far as the website and monetizing that, like, I think the more organic you make it, the better. Like, affiliate income, I think is wonderful. As far as like, and what that means is like, say I have a bunch of friends in the industry who put out phenomenal products, and I'll help market that or get the word out in exchange for like share of the profits, so to speak. So if I have a friend of mine that releases an ebook or a DVD or whatever, and I think it's great, and I'd like to think I'm one of those people that is not too aggressive with that. Like I do feel like almost every I would say every product that I promote or suggest is going to make you better as a fitness professional. Right. But that affiliate income is absolutely a way of helping to monetize your website and another additional revenue stream. And there's douchey and non-douchey ways of doing that. Like me personally, like I try not to be too aggressive. Like I try to not be super aggressive with my newsletter. And, really my newsletter I use to do like a weekly review of my blog. Very rarely am I using, hey, look at this out, check this out, buy this, look at this. I think that turns people off. Yeah. Like I'm not a big fan of pop-up windows to sign up for newsletters. I don't know how you feel about that. I'm not a fan. I lost my train of thought. But,
So now let's look, I consider you very much, you've been doing this for a while, but I also consider you, a very modern fitness professional just with the business model that you have. You do on-site coaching, you have your own facility, right? Yep. But you also do a lot of online coaching. Is that correct? Give us an idea of how that model works, how you balance that.
So I think, I kind of got my foot in a few hats, and that's not even a saying. I don't even know what that means.
It is now. Yeah.
You don't even put your foot in a hat, but I do. I'm coaching in person roughly 20 hours a week. Okay. Which is perfect for me. I'm 41, I don't really see myself coaching people on the gym floor when I'm 60, for 40 hours a week. At least I hope I'm not. So right now I'm coaching 20 hours a week in person. I have right now, as far as distance coaching clients, I have around 15, distance coaching clients that I write programs for. They pay me to write their programs. I interact with them. I update. They give me feedback, etc. And that's my own personal threshold. I found that when I go over that number, the quality of my programming tends to diminish because I just don't have the mental makeup to manage that many people at the same time. And then I also I use exercise.com, and I do a monthly canned programming where for people who who can't afford my one-on-one distance coaching or because I'm not taking on new clients, I might say, well, try my Core Online product, which, if you're not super injured or have a specific injury history that you're trying to train around, or you don't have a specific goal you're trying to train on, you're just looking for, monthly, well-organized, fun programs that are going to get you strong, and you're basically you're going to get programming that I write without actually walking into my gym, then do that. That's going to be more cost efficient and effective, and do that. So and not to mention I travel for speaking, I have writing, so it's cool that I don't rely on any just one specific thing. I could break my leg today, I'd probably still be able to coach in person, but it would be a little bit harder. But I can still write if that happens. I can still do online coaching if that happens. So, I got in on online training pretty early there too. I think how that started is I had a client back in Syracuse, New York, when I moved to New England. He's like, "Hey, can you? I still want you to write my programming. Is that possible?" And I was like, I don't know, is it? I never really thought about it. And, I just basically got on Excel spreadsheet, wrote workouts, sent it to him. I was like, just send me a check, which has now evolved into using PayPal and Stripe and all that stuff. But, and it started with him. Not to mention past clients who worked with me in person who may have moved or just couldn't do it anymore. There's, hey, I still like you to write my programming, and and then people just reaching out through me via my website because they read something I write. But it's nice. As far as a percentage of the pie, it might be 50% of my revenue is in-person coaching, and then the other 50% is divided amongst revenue I make on my website, online coaching, writing, speaking. Which is pretty cool because it just makes it so I don't have to concentrate on any one particular thing in order to make all my income.
Yeah, I love it. And just before this recording, we were talking about your next trip, right? You're going off to
That's and I'm very fortunate. I never would have thought that speaking or public speaking would have been a thing that I would do. And I remember vividly, I almost shit myself the first time I had to do it. I was asked when I first started dating my girlfriend, now wife. A colleague of hers asked me hey, would you be interested in coming in and speaking to the incoming freshman class on nutrition? And I was like, I'm not a nutritionist. I've written on nutrition a little bit. I know my way around, but I can't break down the Krebs cycle or anything. What do you want? And she said, no, we just need to talk about little strategy they can use in the cafeteria and better health, the better food choices they can be making, et cetera. I was like, okay, I can do that, I think. It was only for 45 minutes. And I distinctly remember the morning of, and actually the night of, I woke up at like 1, 2 in the morning, like shitting myself. I was like, oh, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Like, because I was going to be speaking in front of like 300 people.
Right.
And my wife, who's a psychologist, so which helped, she did a few of her Jedi mind tricks on me and like talked me through it. And I ended up making it through. I did it. I did an okay job. And and I felt relieved afterwards. Like, okay, I can do this. Like I did it. Like I sounded like I knew what I was talking about. Like no one left. Like that's cool. And she knew that if I didn't do it, because I was ready to call my friend and be like, listen, I'm sick. I can't make it in today. Sorry. And Lisa talked me out of doing that because she knew if I didn't do it, I never would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like a natural progression, I think. Like I, started training people in person in my career. Okay. And I dabble a little bit of writing. All right. Now I'm doing some online coaching, starting this website. Okay. Now people are asking me to come speak. Like, oh, I guess I can do that. So it was like a natural progression for me. And, but yeah, now I'm at a point where it's really freaking cool. Like I grew up in a very, very, very small town in central New York. My hometown still doesn't have a traffic light. It's very tiny. And, like cornfields and dairy farms all around me. And I've spoken in Sydney, Prague, Oslo, London, not to mention across the North America. And it really dumbfounds me that I'm doing that. And I'm very fortunate and lucky, but also I know I put in a lot of hard work that I've gotten to the point where I can do that. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, yeah, this summer my wife and I are going back over to Europe, and Dean and I are looking forward to planning stuff for 2019 as far as being asked to go speak around the world, which yeah, it's pretty freaking cool. I can't complain. That's for sure.
It is really cool. And I think a lot of people who are listening right now are going to be like, that's what I want. I want that.
I mean, some people, yeah. And I think I would wholeheartedly concur that should be a thing, but it's not some people's bag. Like as an example, like the notion, like I don't like being on camera. I'm okay on camera. But I don't like filming YouTube videos and getting on Instagram and looking at, oh, look at me, like we're doing this. Like I can do it, but I prefer writing. Like that's my main mode of relaying information. And I would encourage people to figure out what they think they're good at and what they want to do. Don't feel like you have to do any of it, because you don't. Right. Like you don't have to public speak. You don't have to do YouTube videos. You don't have to write. You might be really good at YouTube videos. Do that. You might suck at writing. Don't do that. Go speak. Like who knows? I don't know. But certainly I believe there is a natural progression. Like I don't think you just have to build a career capital in order to be able to do that stuff in the first place. But it's certainly, yeah, I think the earlier you start thinking about, okay, how can I evolve my career to kind of put my foot in those hats, and try to figure out other ways of incurring income and getting to help get my name out there and build a brand. I think that's a wonderful way of approaching things.
Yeah. I love that. And I love what you talked about career capital. I think that's a concept that, you got to start putting it in the bank, and it'll definitely do. Yeah, exactly. Well, awesome, Tony. Where do people find you if they want to check you out and kind of see what you're up to, start learning, following your writing? Where do they go?
My home base is my website. So it's TonyGentlecore.com. That's cool. The website. It's all my articles. It's speaking here and there. Like everything's there. Social media, everything.
Right on, man. Well, it's been a pleasure, Tony. You just keep doing you, man. You're well, you're doing a great job, and I greatly appreciate your time. And I know you and I will be talking soon. Hey, fitness fans, don't leave yet. This is Eric Malzone, your host, and I have an extremely special offer just for you. If you go to fitnessmarketingalliance.com/assessment, you can claim your complimentary digital marketing audit. Are you a modern fitness professional? Do you have some sort of online presence? Do you have a sneaking suspicion that your website is not performing optimally and therefore costing you money? Well, this is how you start to find out all of the details. Just like fitness, you need to start with an honest an objective assessment. So go to fitnessmarketingalliance.com/assessment, fill out the form, and we will have it to you within 72 hours. It will cover your overall site performance, rank from 0 to 100, how you rank for your chosen keywords, so that's search engine optimization, your website traffic history over the last 6 months, so the ebbs and flows and what worked, what didn't, your website speed, which is highly relevant for people coming to your website and then bouncing off because it's working too slow, your social media presence, competitive analysis, and much, much more. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, but this is the starting point for building your online business. So please take advantage of it. We're offering it because we feel it's deeply important to you and the industry overall. And you can claim it by going to fitnessmarketingalliance.com/assessment. Do it today. Do it right now. Don't hesitate. This offer won't last forever. So thank you for listening. Greatly appreciate it. If you ever need to reach me, hit me up, Eric at fitnessmarketingalliance.com. And I'll be talking to you very, very soon.